Xdefiant just dropped the second update of its lifecycle with patch Y1S0.2, which is apparently how they'll be naming their updates going forward. I assume it stands for Year 1, Season 0, Patch 2, and to be honest with you, there's not a whole lot in this update, but don't worry, after we run through the patch notes real quick, we'll talk about what's coming down the pipeline for Xdefiant, and I think a lot of players are going to be happy. Before we jump into the video, drop a short comment below and let me know what your experience with the game has been so far and what changes you hope to see come to the game as soon as possible. Alright, let's jump into the patch notes, and first up are changes to the social part of the game. While in a party, we now display the most restrictive crossplay setting among the party members as it applies to the whole party. Also fixed an issue where party members with differing crossplay settings couldn't matchmake. So now when you're in a party, even if one person has crossplay disabled, it will disable for the entire party for matchmaking, and that should fix any issues related to differing crossplay settings when you're searching for a match with your team. Next, fixed an issue with displaying incorrect player names on social screens, fixed a crash caused by spamming the open or close view party invites, but who would even do that? Calm down. I like that they add a little personality to their updates. It makes you feel like this game was built by real people who actually care about the game and the players. On consoles, Ubisoft Connect party invites could display as if they were coming from Xbox or PlayStation Network friends, fixed along with some other weird invite related things. Next we have the miscellaneous category. Fixed some missing terrain textures when players join matches in progress on some maps. I personally only experienced this issue once, but for those players that did have this issue, it's a nice bit of polish for the game. The input-based matchmaking setting status now updates correctly after changing it on Xbox. I saw a lot of comments and confusion around crossplay settings, specifically on Xbox. Hopefully this clears things up a bit, and if you didn't know, I believe the way Xbox handles crossplay is that it has to be changed in your actual Xbox settings and cannot be changed in the game itself. Next, fix the setting on PS5 where people could sneak into places they shouldn't via PS5 activities. No idea what that means, but it sounds like people were able to find their way outside of playable areas. I know this is bad for the game, but sometimes little things like this are kind of fun for a moment when a game launches, like all the glitches and the out-of-the-map exploits from all the way back in games like the original Modern Warfare 2 and Halo 3. Lastly, security improvements. Various. This one's extremely vague, but hopefully there's some sneaky anti-cheat updates tucked into this update. Now obviously they can't list in detail exactly what changes they've made, because that would obviously help out the cheat providers, but so far I've only run into a few cheaters and they seem to be pretty on top of banning them. Hopefully it remains that way for the foreseeable future. But that's pretty much it for this update. I know these aren't the changes a lot of players, including myself, were hoping to see, but there's two reasons for that, and we also have some hope for what's to come to the game pretty soon. If you're enjoying the video so far, drop a like on it and consider subscribing if you want to see more content on all types of first-person shooter games. So why aren't we getting the changes that we wanted in this update that just went out? Number one, the update we got today was created on day one of launch, and it's just now getting pushed out. Now I know what you might be thinking, why can't they just hotfix it the way that Call of Duty does? I couldn't find the exact tweet, but I believe the way Mark Rubin explained it is that for a game to have the ability to do rapid patches, it has to earn that right from Microsoft and Sony. I assume this is done so that they can protect their brand, as they want gamers to know that when you buy things with the Xbox or PlayStation logo attached, you can trust it. That's why we saw Cyberpunk 2077 actually get removed from the PlayStation Store back when it was released until they were able to get that game in a playable and stable state. I know that isn't great for players, but let's play devil's advocate for a minute. Imagine you purchased or downloaded a game only for the developers to completely flip the game on you and now you hate it, sort of like a digital rug pull. Or smaller, less competent studios pushing out an update that breaks the game or creates a massive security breach. Now, Mark also explained that patches take time because they need to collect data and do proper testing to make sure they don't break the game further. So hopefully as Xdefiant and the dev team build trust with the Xbox and PlayStation platforms, they will be able to hotfix any serious issues much more quickly. Now the exciting news is that they do have a patch coming sometime next week with the changes a lot of players were hoping for with this one, but there's one caveat. So long as everything goes well with testing, the next update should include fixes to the netcode, bunny hop spamming, and adding flinch to snipers. These are the main complaints I see in my comments section and across the internet in general. So as long as everything goes well during their testing, Xdefiant should see some massive improvements. I personally think that in a game where the time to kill is longer, one-shot weapons like snipers should require a little more accuracy, because as it stands right now, snipers seem to one-shot to most parts of the body, and I'm not sure if just adding some flinch will fix this issue. I don't want them to completely bury snipers and make them unusable, but I do think there needs to be a trade-off, and requiring accuracy for one-shot kill weapons is a fair ask. But what about things like weapon balance and character abilities? Well, Mark also clarified this one a little bit on Twitter, saying that it takes time to get enough good data back and see where everything kind of settles before they go making any changes. And to be fair, this makes a lot of sense. As a person who comes from playing Apex Legends, it takes time for a meta to settle in, for players to try out, level up all the weapons, slow as it might be, and for players to really flesh out how to best use the abilities for each faction, as well as understand how to counter the other abilities. So some things you thought were maybe OP or broken actually end up being completely fine once everyone figures out how to deal with them. And on the flip side, some things you thought were underpowered actually become incredibly useful if you figure out the best way to use them. In my personal opinion, I do think all of the abilities in general are a little bit on the strong side and sometimes even difficult to counter. So if I had my choice, I'd kind of have those toned down a little bit, but maybe I just don't have enough playtime or haven't figured everything out yet. While there's no skill-based matchmaking in public lobbies of Xdefiant, this is a hard game. It takes time to really understand how the game works, what best suits your playstyle, and to just get good in general. That's one of my favorite parts about playing first-person shooters, seeing your progress as you get better at the game over time. That's why I put together a list of 15 tips I wish I knew sooner in Xdefiant. If you want to watch that video or one of my other videos, click here.